In the rock scene of the late 1970s, tensions within the Eagles were at an all-time high, culminating in Randy Meisner's shocking departure in 1977. As a founding member, Meisner's bass lines had defined hits like Witchy Woman and Best of My Love. But the pressures of fame, compounded by the relentless touring and the strain of balancing his roles as a musician, husband, and father, began to take their toll. The breaking point came during a concert in Knoxville, leading Meisner to walk away from the band at the peak of their success. What truly drove him to leave behind such a legendary group? And how did the band react to his departure? Meisner's contributions to the Eagles were immense. He played a pivotal role in crafting some of their most unforgettable songs, and his bass lines became the backbone of many hits. The Eagles' journey began in 1971, largely thanks to another rock legend, Linda Ronstadt. In her 2014 autobiography, Ronstadt revealed that Don Henley and Glenn Frey, who had played together in her tour band, formed a close friendship and decided to start their own band. She suggested they include Bernie Leadon, a musician she greatly admired, and John David Souther, a producer she was working with at the time. As the years passed, the Eagles released a string of major hits, including Witchy Woman, Take It Easy, and Desperado. Their first #1 single, Best of My Love, was released in 1974, followed by their first #1 album, One of These Nights, in 1975. Amid this rapid rise to stardom, Meisner struggled to balance his new public persona with his roles as a husband and father to 3 young children. The constant touring and long periods away from home took a toll on him. In September 1977, tensions within the band reached a breaking point. A confrontation with Glenn Frey during a concert led to Meisner's decision to leave the Eagles. The incident not only caused a rift with Frey, but also left Meisner feeling isolated from the other band members. This internal conflict came to a head during a 1977 concert in Knoxville, Tennessee, where the expectation for him to perform the hit song highlighted the growing fractures within the band. Randy Meisner, a founding member of the Eagles, faced an end to his stage career that was shaped by more than just music. His health had deteriorated, with stomach ulcers and a sudden bout of flu striking him on the very night of a planned encore performance. Behind the scenes, Meisner had shared with a biographer that the real reason he couldn't sing that night was more personal. He had stayed out too late the previous evening, caught up in too much excitement. Both Meisner and fellow bandmate Glenn Frey reflected on this unforgettable concert in the documentary The History of the Eagles. There, Frey admitted that Meisner often felt anxious about singing his famous song, finding it harder and harder to hit the high notes. The tension reached its peak during a concert in Knoxville. That night, Meisner chose not to sing the song, leading to a heated argument that ended with him throwing the first punch. It was an act the other members would not easily forgive. This conflict marked a turning point, and, soon after, Meisner left the band to return to his family, stepping away from the life of fame and relentless touring. Though he continued to make music, either alone or with new partners, Meisner never reached the same level of success he had enjoyed with the Eagles. Yet, he made this choice consciously. In 1981, he openly confessed that he could have earned far more money had he stayed with the band, but the constant touring and the pressure of life on the road were too overwhelming. He chose peace of mind over fame and fortune. His personal life was also filled with hardships. In 1981, he divorced his first wife, and years later began a relationship with Lana, whom he married in 1996. However, tragedy struck again 20 years later when Lana died in a sudden accident at their home. Meisner himself passed away later, due to complications from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The announcement of his death was shared on the Eagles' official Facebook page. The band paid tribute to him, remembering his vital contribution to their early success and praising his exceptional vocal talent, particularly in his unforgettable song, "Take It to the Limit." How do we measure the value of a life spent on the edge of greatness, yet always seeking peace? Meisner's journey offers a poignant answer. Despite the fame, he chose a quieter path, away from the noise and the crowds. But was it the right decision? The Eagles, a band that soared to great heights in the 1970s, have left an indelible mark on the world of music. But amidst their success lies a story of tension, unresolved feelings, and lost opportunities, a story that revolves around Randy Meisner, the band's original bassist and a key member who helped shape their early sound. In 1977, Randy Meisner parted ways with the Eagles under circumstances that have left a lingering sense of sadness among fans. His departure was not just a loss for the band, but also for those who admired his contributions. The way the band handled his exit, even after all these years, remains a point of contention. Despite sharing the stage again at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, many believe the Eagles missed a chance to truly reconcile with Randy, leaving an unresolved wound in the band's legacy. As we reflect on this moment, it's essential to understand that this story is not just about music. It's about the complexities of human relationships, the struggle between personal comfort and public expectations, and the difficulty of navigating fame. Randy Meisner was a gifted musician, but he was also a man who found it hard to embrace the spotlight. Some might argue that Randy should have overcome his reservations and performed his signature song without hesitation. But his natural disposition was one of quietude, not of seeking attention. Don Henley, one of the Eagles' founding members, once remarked that Randy never quite grew comfortable with the fame that came with being in a successful rock band. It's a narrative that echoes the experiences of many artists who find themselves thrust into the public eye, only to discover that the limelight is not where they feel at home. Yet, in the same breath, we must consider Randy's perspective. It was not about avoiding responsibility, but rather about finding a balance between his passion for music and his comfort as a person. His choice to step back from the Eagles was not just a career decision, but a deeply personal one, driven by his need to stay true to himself. But what if things had been different? This question lingers in the minds of many fans. Could there have been a way for Randy to stay, to continue contributing without the pressures that eventually led to his departure? The answer is something we will never truly know, but it remains a poignant what-if in the history of the Eagles. The story of Randy Meisner and the Eagles serves as a reminder that success in music, or in any field, often comes with its own set of challenges. It's a tale of talent caught between the demands of fame and the desire for personal peace. And as we look back, it's hard not to wonder how things might have turned out if understanding and empathy had taken center stage. As we delve deeper into this story, let us not forget the human aspect behind the music we love. Randy Meisner's experience is not just a footnote in the Eagles' history. It's a reflection of the broader struggles that many face when personal needs clash with professional demands. Randy Meisner faced a significant challenge each time he sang the high note in "Take It to the Limit." This song became one of the Eagles' most memorable hits, loved by many fans. Even though it's hard to be sure, it seems likely that Don Henley and Glenn Frey were surprised, maybe even a little uncomfortable, with how successful the song became. The powerful words and melody made it stand out in a way they hadn't expected. Some people feel strongly that no one should sing this song except Randy, and they argue it should have been retired with him. But the reality is, Randy can no longer perform it. Over the years, he was invited to rejoin the band a few times, but these offers came too late. His life had taken a different path, marked by many personal struggles that were far from the glamorous world often associated with rock stars. Still, there is hope that Randy continues to earn from the song's royalties, especially from Take It to the Limit. During a concert in Knoxville, Tennessee, a conflict arose that revealed deeper tensions within the band. Don Henley pushed Randy to perform, even though he was reluctant due to illness. This moment, captured in the Eagles documentary, has painted Randy in some narratives as being difficult. However, he always maintained that his sickness was genuine, not an excuse. Within the band, conflicts seemed to flare up often. One example of this tension was when Bernie Leadon, a founding member, showed his frustration by pouring a beer on Glenn Frey. Glenn had big plans for the band's future, while Bernie, who had roots in a different style of music, had his own ideas. As a former member of the Flying Burrito Brothers and a talented musician skilled with many instruments, Bernie preferred a different musical direction. Later, when Don Felder joined, he added a unique guitar style, bringing another layer of complexity to the band's sound. Together, Leadon and Felder made significant contributions, especially noticeable in the songs on their greatest hits album. Moving forward, we explore the personal struggles and changes within the band. However, as disagreements intensified, Bernie Leadon decided to leave the band. He found it hard to navigate the growing internal politics and tension. Joe Walsh then joined the Eagles, bringing a stronger, more rock-focused sound. Yet, despite this change, some listeners felt the band's style didn't shift as dramatically as they might have expected. Would the band have taken a different path if these tensions had been resolved differently? As the years went by, the story of the Eagles was marked by both their musical achievements and their struggles. Would things have been different if everyone had stayed together? This remains a question in the minds of many fans. As their story unfolded, it became clear that the success of the Eagles was built on both their brilliant music and the intense battles behind the scenes. In the beginning, life with the Eagles was intense, almost like racing at full speed. It felt like they were living the lyrics of their song, Victim of Love. Don Felder and Joe Walsh, with their unique musical styles, added layers to the band's sound. Over time, the Eagles' albums began to shift. Their music moved from the country roots that had defined them in the early days to a more straightforward rock sound. By the time they released The Long Run, the country influence had all but vanished, leaving behind a clear rock vibe. During this period, Glenn Frey started to explore his love for R&B music. On the other hand, Randy Meisner found himself struggling. He felt the pressure to meet the high standards set by his bandmates, especially Frey and Don Henley, who were very strict about professionalism and delivering perfect performances. Meisner often felt left out, unsure of his place in the band. Eventually, after a particularly exhausting tour, Meisner decided to leave. He later told biographer Mark Elliott that in his final days with the Eagles, he felt isolated and lonely. The people he had once worked hard to bring together as a band now seemed to distance themselves from him. This situation became known as the Randy Meisner problem, a symbol of the tensions that had grown within the band. Years later, when the Eagles made their incredible comeback with the Hell Freezes Over tour, fans were overjoyed. Even Bernie Leadon, a former member, returned for some performances. But despite the success, old tensions resurfaced, especially involving Don Felder. The strained relationships within the band became evident once again. Fans longed to see Meisner return to the stage, but the spotlight remained focused on Frey, Henley, and Joe Walsh. If you look at bands like Chicago, they had a different approach. They emphasized collective effort rather than focusing on individual stars. This idea of teamwork might have resonated with Meisner. Even Peter Cetera, who played a major role in Chicago, eventually saw the band's dynamics shift and break down. There were chances for Meisner to rejoin the Eagles, but his health issues made it impossible for him to fully return. Fans believed he deserved a place in the Hell Freezes Over project. They imagined him on stage, perhaps offering a simple acoustic version of Take It to the Limit. This could have shown a softer, more thoughtful side of the Eagles during their live shows. Such a moment could have brought a brief reunion, a reminder of the unity and musical harmony that once defined the Eagles at their best. In the 1990s, many music groups embraced the simplicity of acoustic instruments, creating sounds that connected deeply with their audiences. But the Eagles chose a different path. Instead of considering a reunion with Randy Meisner, an original member who had left the band years earlier, they turned their attention to Joe Walsh, another band member struggling with addiction. Joe Walsh needed support, and Don Felder, the band's guitarist, took on the challenge of helping him through his difficult times. Despite Felder's efforts, his fate within the band was sealed. He started to ask questions about the financial dealings of the band, suspecting there might be something unfair happening. This did not sit well with the other members, and soon Felder was pushed out. It became evident that Randy Meisner, much like Bernie Leadon before him, deserved better treatment from the Eagles. Both had wanted to leave a group that seemed to be tearing itself apart from the inside. Felder, unlike Meisner and Leadon, chose to stay and fight, but his determination only seemed to make things worse. His continued presence led to fierce disputes with Glenn Frey, the band's co-founder. Many believe this escalating conflict was the final blow that led to the band's initial breakup. The tension between the members was like a constant storm, always brewing, always threatening to destroy what little harmony remained. What few people know is that another, deeper conflict simmered between Don Henley and Glenn Frey, a story rarely told, but no less significant. This hidden struggle could one day be the focus of an unauthorized biography, revealing the shadows that lurked behind the band's public face. Today, the Eagles seem to be living in the shadows of their past disputes. Newer fans, drawn to their concerts by famous names like Vince Gill, often do not even know who Randy Meisner is. They see a well-known face, a name they recognize, but they are unaware of the complex history that shaped the band's original sound. The band seems to rely on this, using the appeal of familiar faces to attract crowds, even if their music no longer resembles what it once was. The Eagles, a rock band with a legacy spanning more than 50 years, continue to capture the hearts of audiences around the world. Despite changes in their lineup over the years, the current members, Don Henley, Joe Walsh, and Timothy B. Schmidt, carry the torch of the band's rich history. Recently, Vince Gill and Deacon Frey have joined them. Deacon, the son of the late Glenn Frey, joined the band as a tribute to his father, keeping the memory of one of the Eagles' founding members alive. Their music, a blend of rock and country, remains as powerful and moving as ever. The melodies and lyrics that once defined a generation continue to resonate, making each performance a journey through time and emotion. Vince Gill, known for his smooth country style and heartfelt voice, has been a natural addition to the group, seamlessly blending into the Eagles' distinctive sound. Deacon Frey, with his own musical talents, brings a poignant connection to the band's past, adding a deeper emotional layer to their performances. Critics and fans alike have praised the band's recent shows, noting how the mix of old and new members maintains the Eagles' signature harmonies. Their ongoing Long Goodbye tour, filled with beloved classics, is being promoted as their final set of concerts. This tour offers fans a last, bittersweet chance to experience the magic of the Eagles live on stage. As the band faces questions about whether they can still embody the spirit of the original Eagles, their performances provide a clear answer. The soul of the Eagles, with its timeless melodies and harmonies, remains undiminished. Their concerts focus on the purity of the music, proving that the true essence of the Eagles lies not in grand visual displays, but in the enduring power of their songs. With each passing performance on their farewell tour, the Eagles show that they still hold a firm place in the music world. Their ability to adapt while staying true to their roots has allowed them to maintain a connection with both longtime fans and new listeners. The music of the Eagles, rich in history and emotion, continues to echo through the hearts of those who listen. As the final chords play, one cannot help but wonder, what will remain when the music finally stops? The legacy of the Eagles is not just in the notes they play, but in the memories they create, lasting far beyond their final bow. Their journey, filled with triumphs and trials, reflects the passage of time itself. Yet, even as they say goodbye, the music tells us that some things are truly timeless. The Eagles have always been more than just a band. They are a bridge to the past, a soundtrack to the lives of many, and an enduring symbol of the power of music to transcend generations.